All right, I get it. We're doing Magnates Media in this video. And if you guys stay to the end, you're gonna get a quick bonus on how I edit one of his other videos. All right, so first things first, we're going to create a new composition. I did start editing a little bit prior just so I could get, some styles down. And yes, this is gonna look very bootlegged. Don't worry, it's gonna be the same concepts. The difference between what I'm going to be doing and what Magnates Media usually does, he has them create the designs for him, or he buys them or purchases them outright. So we're creating this quick solid layer. You could say layer, you could say background. So it's going to be a background color, and we're going to keep it as a dark background color, but we're going to add some little fluff to it. So we're going to add a few things to this. Right now I'm just going through, I'm just trying to find what I want to add to this. So we'll be adding a fill color, and when you add a fill color, the fill color will allow you to, change the color, change the background color to whatever you like it to be. So initially the background color didn't matter. We can change the fill color as needed. So what I added here is a smoke overlay, and we're gonna go ahead and change the mode in this, but we're also gonna scale it up. So let's go ahead and scale it up so it covers the entire screen, and we're gonna change the mode to screen. Screen is what will help you get the smoke to be see-through, but we're gonna go to a multiply because I actually want the lights flicker that this overlay had. So we're gonna do multiply, and basically it's just gonna have that moody feeling and moody texture, but we're also gonna press T on our keyboard and change the opacity. So I'm just gonna keep messing around with the opacity and get it to something where I'm pretty sure I changed it again at some point in the video. So if you guys see me do that, don't worry. It's just me, finding the taste and finding what I like. So we're gonna clip off the rest of this, and if we need more, we'll just scale it as needed. After we get a background that we're happy with, we're gonna go ahead and drag in our banana, the first banana. If you guys can do any graphic design, go ahead and create your design. I just took this banana off Google, but you guys can go ahead and grab your image or design your own image so that you can make it work for you. And we're just gonna adjust it so that it pops up just like how Magnates Media has it. So he had several bananas or several drawings on either side, and then he has them sliding in. So we're just gonna go ahead and create the last image that we want to see, and then we'll go from there. So we're just gonna keep messing with the bananas. I'm just gonna do 3 on either side, and we're gonna keep messing with the scale. Just a little pointer, the keyboard shortcuts are T for opacity, P for position, S for scale. Those are the main ones I'll be swapping between as I'm editing here. So if you guys keep constantly see position popping up or anything else, then those are the keyboard shortcuts I've been using. Oh, the other one is U. If you want to open the ones that have keyframe, U is going to be your best friend. As you guys can see, I do not have any 3D cameras yet, but I will be working with some 3D cameras. My style of editing on After Effects, I work with nulls and 3D camera movements. If you're very confused on 3D camera movement and you cannot understand it, I definitely say you should just work with nulls. It kind of has the same effect, and if anything, you have a little bit more control. I kind of go between the two, and I kind of work through both of them. All right, so this is the design I have. I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate this after I'm done creating a null, and the null is gonna be that bonding of all the bananas. Think of it as like a group. I'm just gonna pick whip all of them to the left bunch. That way, if I add any motions, it moves all of them simultaneously. All right, as you can see, I'm creating another duplication of this, and then we're gonna group it, and we're gonna put it above our left bunch null item. And then we're gonna create another null, and we're gonna call this right bunch, and then we're gonna pick whip this all the way to that one, and we're gonna go ahead and rename it right bunch. And as you can see, it's controlling all the motions. The one thing I need to make sure I do is flip it. So I'm gonna add a flip to this. Later in the video, I do download a plugin that allows me to search my effects and presets tab. I'm actually not sure what it's called. I totally forgot. Yeah, I believe it's called FX Console. I'm pretty sure it's called FX Console. If you guys go ahead and download that, you can search your effects and presets by hitting Control and spacebar. Yeah, it helped a ton. I didn't have it downloaded, and I regret not having it downloaded. downloaded. Again, I am mainly a Premiere Pro user, but ever since learning how to make my computer work more effectively on After Effects, I have been using After Effects a lot more. Flipping all of them one by one, and that way I'm just going to put each of them into position. A lot of people might say, oh, why didn't you just pre-compose it? If I pre-composed it, it would cut off that screen. So it would basically create a screen and cut it off, and you don't want that. You want it to have that full range of motion whenever you're doing your zoom in, zoom outs. It's very tricky to explain if you're a beginner in After Effects. If you're intermediate, you'll more than likely understand. And again, what I'm doing is I'm positioning the bananas in a way that is very similar to Magnates Media. Of course, it's not the exact same. We don't want to copy as video editors. We want to make sure that we're creating inspired videos. So don't ever copy. If you're inspired, that's different. You can create your own or make it better. When I show you guys how to do these video edits, it's not to make you guys copy these editors. It's showing you the style and how they do it, so you guys can adapt it into your own style. So if you ever notice, I don't edit like this. Like in my own videos, I don't edit like this. I may do, you know, one or two things that are very similar, but I've adapted it into my own editing style for myself and for my clients or for whoever I edit for. So just don't go out and outright copy. Innovate. Be creative. All right, so right now I'm just scrolling through the different modes. I do know that screen creates a lighter tone, but I want to go for a different vibe. So I'm just going to keep scrolling through until I find something that kind of matches the blend that I would like. So this one is more than likely what I'll be using, the overlay. It looks a lot better. So the two that looked very similar is overlay and soften. I would definitely go with the soften one or the overlay. It doesn't matter. It kind of looks the same. All right, so this is another trick that Magnates Media uses a lot in his videos. He does a lot of cutouts. So if he downloads the image off of Google or wherever he buys his Shutterstock or whatever else he buys it from, he will cut out the person, the object, the thing using Photoshop. Yes, you can use After Effects, but it's a lot quicker doing Photoshop. Do it, save it, and drag it into After Effects. But there's something else that we'll be doing in this. We'll be using this new AI feature that Photoshop came out with just to make it look a little similar to what Magnates Media has. He has, you know, that king crown going on with a suit or whatever it was. But we'll basically try to copy that. We're going to go ahead and grab this selection tool. We'll make sure it's cloud and we're going to hit select subject. We're going to go ahead and select mask. And if you want the red to show, you're going to go ahead and click this little arrow and hit overlay and use the red one. It just looks a lot better for me. And we're going to get the shoes in there because the white on the shoes is hiding out. We actually want to show that just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and bring that back in, and we're going to make sure it gets a proper cut out of our subject here. So I'm just going to keep messing with it until I get something that I like. All right, once you're done and once you like the way it is, you're going to go ahead and select new layer and hit OK. And then it's going to create this new layer right in the bottom right of your selection. We're going to go ahead and grab the square selection tool, and we're just going to highlight the middle neck to the entire bottom of our subject's feet. And we're going to go ahead and press generate fill, and we're going to type in change to nice tux. All right, this is not bad, but we also want to have the shoes. The second one, it's also not bad. And the third one looks a little funky. Let's go ahead and type something different. Let's go ahead and not select the person, and let's go ahead and have the background back in, and then let's go ahead and just type it and see if we get a different result here. We're going to type something along the lines of changes close to something formal, and hopefully this does a better job of getting in that shoes and getting something that we would prefer. Okay, this first one, I like this first one. This second one also looks decent. Third one, the hands look a little weird, so it's between these first and second one. Definitely first and second one looks good. This first one, it doesn't show any hands, it doesn't show any flaws, so we're probably going to go with this first one, and we're going to go ahead and group those by pressing Ctrl G, and we're going to merge the group. First, we're going to go ahead and add the crown, so we are going to undo that. We got to add the crown, and we're just going to hit add a crown. This first option is really good. Second option is pretty good. The third option looks a little funky. Let's go between the first and the second as well, and we're going to probably choose the second one. All right, now at this point, we're going to go ahead and group it, and then we're going to go ahead and hit merge group. And now is where we're going to want to cut out our subject, and it does a pretty decent job. We're just going to go ahead and fix this neck portion, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to, after we get a good selection, we're going to go ahead and put it into a new layer. All right, once we have something we like, we're going to export as PNG, and now we're just going to drag and drop it into our After Effects. And as you can see, we're just going to scale it to wherever we want, and we're going to position him, and we're going to make sure that that composition looks pretty swell. All right, so we're going to add a color blend to this. I might not like the blend that we can choose between, so we might do something a little bit different. That looks fairly okay. Let's see what we're gonna do here. What I chose to do is we went ahead and we copied that background color, that dark background color that we had, and we brought it above our subject, and we're gonna go ahead and put it as a mask. To explain a mask is it's your subject, and whatever you have above it is gonna fill into that area. It's the best way I can explain a mask. We're gonna add some a blend to it. What I'm going for is I'm trying to have the subject show. That layer is not showing, so we have to make it visible. I totally forgot, once you make something a mask or you apply a set to mask, it will hide that layer. It makes it look a little bit more blended into the video, which I love. That's what we were going for. We just wanted a darker blend to it. Now we're going to go to our effects, and we're going to add some noise to this. The noise is going to be something that I genuinely recommend a lot of people using noise, because it doesn't look good when your videos are completely bland. Talking head videos like this, yes, it looks great. You can see everything clearly, but when it comes to motion graphics, you want to add some sort of life to it. So a noise will make sure adds that little movement that you can't see. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head. All right, so if you guys can see, this is a lot of layers. This is a lot of layers. You guys can mess with all these layers and you can pre-compose them, but the way I do it is I do scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and I blend them all into one main source or editing area. So you guys can choose to do the same. You guys can pre-compose it however you like. This is what I choose to do. All right, so once we go ahead and added everything the way we like, we're just gonna add that 3D camera that I was talking about. You don't have to do a mixture of both. You can just use a 3D camera. You can just use a null. You do what you want to do. I'm not gonna hold you back. I just won't. I want you guys to think freely. If the 3D camera doesn't work, I'm gonna swap to a null, and we're gonna go ahead and drag it all the way to the top. We're gonna do a 2 view. We always do a 2 view. We do the active view and the left or right or top down view. As you guys can see, I can't really see the camera. And what I didn't do is which I will do right now, the toggle switches to have a 3D area. So as you guys can see, these weren't 3D in that corner, so we have to make sure we turn them in 3D. I won't realize this for a while, but eventually I will. All right, I couldn't find it, but I'm going to show you guys how to work with the camera anyways. You're going to go to your position, your transform, you can press P, and you have different shortcuts. You can rotate between Control, Alt, and Shift, I believe, or you could just use these 3 numbers right here, and that will help you a lot. All right, so we want to go ahead and lock in a keyframe, and we're going to move it into what the final or the first position looks like. So it's going to be a zoom out effect, and we're going to zoom it out to as far as we can, but we want to make sure it looks visually pleasing. So we're going to go back in, and we're going to zoom out as much as we can without showing any of the black outlines. And once we get it to that juicy frame that we like, we're going to go ahead and watch it over, and we're going to move it to exactly where we actually want it to start. All right, so we're going to go back there. I'm very weird about getting that nice composition look. All right, so that right bunch, we want it to swipe in or slide in. So we're going to fix position, go back in time, and we're going to move it down, and we're going to reposition that right bunch keyframes, or we're going to lock position, and then we're going to go back and move it down. And we're going to highlight, and we're going to press F9 to easy ease these keyframes, and we're going to do this to those 2 as well. We're going to make it happen right after the other one, and we're going to go ahead and make that a little bit smoother at some point, but let's go ahead and make all of this easy ease, and because I easy ease, it messed up the positioning. That's totally fine. We're just gonna go ahead and adjust it to what we like. Again, making it look pretty solid. It's not moving, and the reason why it's not moving is because I'm not on the right keyframe, and you'll see me zoom in. It's not gonna play properly right here. Oh, it does actually. Never mind. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and add our text. Something that I didn't do yet is adjusting the graph. You can adjust the graphs at any point, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go ahead and do the text first. Hit Control, and I double clicked on the anchor positioning. This will allow the anchor point to be in the exact middle of your text. And the reason why you want that is when you go ahead and hit certain align tools, you want to make sure it aligns to the position of the anchor. It just helps with lining things up a little bit better. You don't have to do it, but I do it. We're going to change this color to black. We're going to change the font size just to test it out. Medium looks okay. We might go ahead and change that later. We're going to increase the size to 200, and we didn't like that, so back down to 150. Hi, how are you? You can stay in here. It's just awkward. Yeah, you're gonna be in it. All right, so we're gonna have our text here, and we're gonna go ahead and add some turbulent displace, not turbulent noise, turbulent displace. And it's gonna add that wiggle effect that he had. And we're gonna adjust our numbers here, and the more you have it down, the better. So we're gonna change the amount, and we want it to wiggle, so we can use evolution or complexity to make it have that wiggling effect. Try to use evolution. Evolution keeps the same complexity, but when you use a complexity, it just changes how it looks. When you use evolution, it just changes ever so slightly, but it makes it have that wiggling effect. So again, we're just going to keep rewatching and continuously watch what we have, and we're going to make the opacity slowly come on like so. We can change it with pressing T on our keyboard and changing opacity that way, or you can open the transform entirely. You can hit animate and you can change the opacity there, whichever you're most comfortable with. And then now we're going to go ahead and adjust our graphs, and our graphs are just going to make everything a lot smoother. And what I always tell everyone is keep messing with your graphs. If you see me doing random stuff on my graphs, it's because I'm either testing it, but the simplest thing to do is making that sharp and then smooth effect. That's the most typical. You can download programs that does it for you. You can use like Flow, that might work. I'm just editing the value graph. You can also mess with the value graph. In this case, value graph is not something that I want to use, so we're gonna go ahead and change it back to a speed graph. All right, so we're gonna also mess with the bunch, the left bunch. We fixed the right bunch. We're gonna also mess with the left bunch. And if you hold down shift and drag it out, it keeps it on that same line. So as you can see, that looks a lot smoother, and we're gonna keep rewatching it, and we're going to highlight everything, press U on a keyboard, and it hides all the keyframes, but boom, that looks pretty solid. And everything looks a little bit more pixelated than it is right now because it's not fully rendered. Again, once you render out everything, it does look a little bit smoother, but as for right now, this is totally fine. So as you guys can see, I duplicated the richest, and I'm just gonna type powerful. We're gonna put the same exact wording on there, and we can add this where it basically makes all the letters capital. We can capitalize all the lettering. That way we don't have to manually type each capital letter. No matter what we put in there, it's gonna make it capitalized now. So right now it just pops on there. We just need to remove the end of this part and go ahead and watch it. It does a flicker, so that means there's a little bit in there still. We're gonna zoom in just a tad bit just so we can fix that. Make sure it's end to end. That way it's instead of a flicker, it's more of a snap transition. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and make it slide up. And we're gonna add an opacity to this as well. And again, we're gonna go ahead and adjust the keyframes so it looks a little bit smoother. Changing the graph is gonna be your best friend. make another copy of the power. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to remove all these keyframes. We're going to reposition it, and we want it to position a little lower than before. So it's right under, and it's going to say men in the world. So most powerful men in the world. A lot of you had left some feedback on my last couple videos, saying I edited it a little bit too fast, or I showed the video a little bit too fast. Just let me know if this is too slow, or if I can do anything better to help you guys. If you guys want to see certain techniques breaking down into a different video, maybe make a 2-minute video showing you guys how to do certain things. So just like this one, this is the text animator. With the text animator, you can individually adjust the animation of a word, text, like the entire text, or characters. We're going to go ahead and change this based on the words. So again, I'm scrolling through everything just to show you guys what you can see in the advanced range selector. So think of your range selector of, hey, what do you want to mess with? Do you want to mess with the word? You can mess with the start of the word, the end of the word. So we're going to go ahead and change characters into words, and it's going to one by one pop up everything. So again, if you guys want me to show you guys individually how to do certain edits or certain styles, and if you want me to break down one specific editing technique, I can. Just let me know in the comments. I do read every single comment. As you guys know, I respond to every single comment. Let me know if you guys want to see me edit a little bit slower. Again, I don't think I can edit it much slower than this. Whenever I'm editing, I have to be in a zone, so I can't really talk. So this is why you guys are getting the aftermath of me talking over the video. So I'm sorry about that. So I can't tell you guys what's going on in my head in that moment. Instead, you guys get this. You guys get the full working brain, the functioning conversational person. Basically trying some techniques. We're looking at this animator. I think this was the 5th time I've used the animator. Not that I didn't know what it was more or less because, I could do everything that I'm doing right now, but individually, I didn't understand how the animator, affects each section. So I think this was pretty cool that I learned how to utilize the animator a lot better. So I'm going to add some opacity changes to the animator, and just changing it to 0%. That way it pops in one by one. So I'm trying to render out each section just so it can play a little bit better. So we're going to add the pen. Use the pen tool. If it's pink, that means I'm highlighted on something, so we're gonna go ahead and remove that, and we're gonna unselect men in the world because we can't have anything selected, and we're gonna go back to our pen tool. We're gonna create a line right underneath. It needs to be purple, and then we're gonna go ahead and adjust our line to be red, just like Magnates Media. We're gonna have the shape layer go underneath the camera. We need to go underneath the camera because the camera does some effects that we need, and we're gonna make it a round cap. The round cap just means it circles off the ends of it instead of having a flat end on either side. And again, we went ahead and centered that anchor point, so anything we affect or we change to it, it does it in the middle. And we're gonna go ahead and adjust the trim paths. We're gonna adjust the trim paths so that it starts in the middle and slides outward on either side. So we're gonna start in the middle on both sides, and then we're gonna add some keyframes, and then we're gonna go a little bit forward. I changed this end part to 100, which was right, but I changed the start point to 50, which I should have changed it to 0, not 50. So you're gonna see me messing with it because I don't know why it's doing that, but eventually I do figure out, oh, you need to change that to 0 right there, boom. And I changed that one to 0, but I didn't need to do that. So you see me still messing with it because I didn't understand the concept. So there you go. So either 100 on top and 0 on the bottom, or vice versa. But it still gives me the effect of the line starting in the middle and zooming out. So we're gonna, F9 these, we're gonna ease it, and we're gonna highlight these keyframes, and we're gonna adjust so that it starts fast. So it starts fast and then slowly gets spaced out. And we're gonna add some motion blur in. The motion blur just makes it a little bit more real. Kind of like that. We want it to be a little bit more subtle. Change it just ever so slightly. Just continue adjusting it just so you guys can see what you like, and adjusting the timing just to make sure it fits what you're actually going for. If you guys are newer, don't worry, I show you guys how to do pre-composition at some point later in the video. So what I recommend for you guys is go ahead and continue watching the entire video. Once you're done, come back and then rewatch a lot slower so you guys can follow along. You don't learn overnight. This is something that takes time, so watch the full thing, come back and follow along. So right here, I'm trying to create a scene 1 adjustment layer and a scene 2 adjustment layer. I'm trying to create adjustment layers, and I've messed with adjustment layers before, but I was trying to do it in this tricky way. And we're trying to add a video shake to this entire thing. You open the drop down onto wherever you're trying to do the video shake. You alt and click the stopwatch. You type in wiggle, and you need 2 arguments. So the first one, I believe that chooses the length of the wiggle, and then the last one chooses the amount. It might be flipped, either or. But we want kind of a subtle, vigorous shake. So as you can see, it's not really happening this. I think what I ended up doing here is I linked it to the camera. So I pick whipped the camera onto that adjustment layer. So another thing that you guys didn't notice that I did was the transition. I started working on that transition wherein it slides to the right. Yes. So scene 2 is going to have the next thing that I want to pop up on here. So we're gonna get the background and we're gonna paste it in here so it has the same background. We're actually gonna make it not visible once we transport the scene 2 into our main composition. So we have the $sign and we need a thing of money coins on a hill. We're just gonna adjust the $sign though. But again, I'm gonna go ahead and use Photoshop and Adobe's new AI feature to create this. We want that coin hill, so you guys are gonna see how I genuinely use Adobe Photoshop. All right, so we're gonna click this select tool. We're gonna highlight the bottom half of the option. We're just gonna type in what we need. And hopefully it gives us at least 3 good variations. All right, so this is 1. Okay, 2 can work definitely. I like how 2 looks. It's just the coins don't look even, but let's see what we can do. And then 3, they're too spaced out. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna go ahead and use 2. And then we're just gonna use some Photoshop techniques, and we're gonna split it right at that silver one, and maybe we'll have the silver one be the middle. So we're gonna duplicate it. And then we need some foreground coins. So we're gonna use that 3rd option and make foreground coins. So grab our select tool, we're gonna hit cloud selection, select subject, and it went ahead and select the coins, but we're gonna go ahead and clean it up a little bit. As you guys can see, we're gonna clean it up just a little bit so that it selects the actual coins. And we're gonna do select inverse, and we're just gonna grab the eraser tool and we're gonna erase all of it. Yes, we could have done select and mask and then create a new layer, but I know this is exactly what we're gonna use, so that's totally fine. So we're gonna go ahead and hide it for now. And we're gonna slide it over and we're gonna duplicate this. Hit Alt and drag down and it duplicates it for us. And we can just flip horizontal right here on the bottom. All right, and then we can go ahead and move it to roughly where we want. And then we're going to, we want to make sure we select the mask on the top one. So this is another easy way to do this. We can select this portion, select the coins, mask out the coins first, and then erase the white areas. And then we're gonna go through and manually create that hill of coins. Grab the eraser and erase. All right, so I might go ahead and delete that and duplicate that instead. That way I don't have to do it twice, and flip it as well and move it to where I need it to be, and boom, position it overlapping. Now I just need to erase those 2 coins that are showing. You can use the eraser tool, or you can just select the masked portion, this black and white area, and then just use your paintbrush to do it. I think that looks good. We don't really have to do too much with that, so that is perfect. So we're gonna export both of these as separate things, but we also want to go ahead and create the man that was standing on top of it. This got cut out, but you can use the AI generation tool to create the hand extending out, and that will create the hands pointing, which is totally fine. We're going to drag each file into our After Effects composition, and we're going to drag them one by one. We're going to adjust the main camera, or the top camera that we're going to use on here, so that the focal point is right on this man. New camera. We're going to enable depth of field. If you don't have it selected, it's not gonna do a blurry selection for you, so you got to make sure. So we're gonna make these all 3D layers so we can position them differently. Keep the camera in the same spot. Then we're gonna adjust the coin towers. So this front coin tower is gonna be the furthest forward. And again, we're just gonna adjust the camera positioning so that it looks just about the same. We can also scale it down so that it can have the same coins in there, same amount of coins that were in there. And then we're gonna adjust coin 2, not to be that far off. We're gonna position it a little bit upward, and then we're gonna position our businessman a little bit forward of the coins, and we're gonna scale him down and repositioning him on top of our coins right there. Magnates Media did use a different design in terms of the coins and the man, but it's the same concept, which is what I'm showing you guys how to do. I'm not showing you guys how to copy, so go ahead and just follow the same concept. All right, so we're gonna adjust the focus area and the blur level. We're just gonna give it a slight subtle blur, and as you can see, the coins are in focus, but the man is not. So we're gonna do the blur level at 600, 800. 800 looks a little bit better. And then we're gonna reposition. And again, you could have done something very similar using the Null. I feel like working with the 3D camera to create that blur effect looks a little bit more natural instead of doing it manually using the Null. So we're gonna add some motion to pretty much each one of these. So the man, the coins, both coins, and the dollar sign, we're gonna add some motion to that. So with this first foreground one, we're gonna have it slide in, and then we're gonna also have the big one do a smaller slide in, and then we're gonna have the businessman kind of fall onto the coin, so he's gonna do a slide down. And again, it's the same concept with these keyframes, going 5 frames or 2 frames forward, hitting the keyframe, going backwards, adjusting your positioning, and then it will create those keyframes for you. As you can see, each one of these items here have motion and have some sort of movement going on. A lot of movement, a lot of subtle movement when it comes to each aspect adds a level of style that Magnates Media uses. So now I'm positioning that the top coin moves first and then the bottom coin. Holding shift will allow it to stay on the same level where you're sliding it left and right. That way you don't lose track. And just continually watching. And again, we're gonna hit F9 on this one, the frontal coins, and I do like that a lot. We're gonna adjust the coin, or not the coin, we're gonna adjust the dollar sign. We don't need to adjust the dollar sign too much because it's very subtle. So, but again, you want to put a lot of time into your graphs still, making sure that they're what you want. Now we go back into our main comp, and we're going to add this scene 2 into our main comp. position it to right after it slides out, and then we're gonna position it right there. Okay, and then pop. So as of right now, it's just popping onto the screen. It's not sliding in like we want it to. We're gonna go ahead and adjust that as well. So we just need to extend this background just a little bit longer because as you see, it just goes to black because it cuts off right here. We're just gonna potentially duplicate this video file and just extend it. And we're gonna add some blending using opacity. We're gonna pick whip our scene 2 to scene 1 transitioning. And as you can see, it's sliding in. Now we're gonna reposition this so that it looks a lot smoother. All right, so now we skipped ahead just a tad bit. We went ahead and pre-composed everything into the Banana King video entirely, and we're using the optics compensation, and we added some keyframes. Again, you guys know how to use keyframes. So use your keyframes, adjust it so it has that wide angle, and then we added a twirl, so it twirls the person, and then it's going to spin into the final look. All right, now we're gonna add our shift channels. And the shift channels, what we need to create now is that 3D red, green, blue effect. So we're gonna go ahead and duplicate our layers about 3 times with the shift channels on. And for the second shift channel, we're gonna go ahead and instead of having the red turned on, we're going to turn on the green, and we're going to duplicate it again. And instead of the green being turned on, we're going to turn on the blue. All right, and we're going to highlight both these top two, and we're going to go ahead and change the modes to screen, and it will basically show our previous image that we had before. All right, so this is the first 15 seconds of the intro. All right, so back into the main comp or scene one composition, the Banana King video. Again, this was a 5-hour long video, so either some of it got cut out or I genuinely forgot to record it, but it's totally fine. All right, so right here, I'm gonna add the transition. Again, this is something I downloaded off of Pexels or off of YouTube. It's just gonna be a flash transition. And yes, while I can make it, we don't need to make it myself. We just need to download it and use it. Someone already did it. No need into doing extra steps. And we're going to scale it so it covers the entire thing. And we're just gonna have it cut out where the flash is needed. And we're gonna have it do a screen. The flash still works, but the screen, you can just see the background. And it's gonna transition into the last thing. So again, we're creating that new, that scene 3 composition, following the same steps as I did with scene 2. And we're creating that text, kind of that see-through text that Magnates Media usually does.
Wealth, power, and influence. JP Morgan had it all.
Alright, just like you guys left a comment in the last video, make sure you guys leave a comment, give me some feedback, tell me if I went too fast or if I went too slow. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave a comment. I'll see you in the next one.